Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. Now, you know what? Big cathedral fire. Enormous cathedral in Paris. Burned right down to the ground. Already theories are starting about this cathedral and how the fire got started and everything else. I see theories popping up on the internet about it already. And I mean, the ashes haven't even cooled down yet. You know, the firefighters are still working on it. There's already conspiracies out there. This is a huge tragedy for the city of Paris, and they've already, the French leader has already said that they're going to try to rebuild. So we're keeping our eye on that. Another thing we want to talk about is gold today. Okay, so we're going to start the charts right here. The first thing we're going to take a look at is gold. How did I get on this? Okay, here's a story. Somebody has dumped $1.5 billion worth of futures contracts. 11,000 gold futures contracts were dumped, sending the price of gold downwards, spiraling it downwards. And this thing, you know, this shows the price suppression. Silver follows gold, you know, and right now, this price suppression is still continuing. How long can they keep this game going? As long as they don't go too much below the price of mining production costs. They can keep this game going for a long time. And, in fact, maybe it's in their plans to keep this going for a lot longer. I'm going to tell you, this market is extremely controlled. The gold and silver market. The only factor that stops them from taking the price down to practically nothing, and believe me, they can using these future contracts, as far as I'm concerned, this is totally... like, it should be illegal for them to do this. I mean, they control this market through price manipulation with these paper futures contracts. It's I'm not going to say it's impossible for them to do this with cryptocurrencies, but it'd be much harder with Bitcoin. And there's one reason why it's a lot harder. With gold, who knows the exact amount of gold there is in the earth? Okay? Out there. Who knows? There's talk about gold in the Grand Canyon and gold here and gold there, and there's gold reserves and everything else. It's an unclear number, and plus all the gold reserves all over the earth, it's an unclear number of how much that we're dealing with here. And so they can go ahead and arrange futures contracts on this product, on gold and silver, because the amount available is very unclear. And I mean, nobody has an exact number. But what about Bitcoin? We know exactly what the number of Bitcoin is. All that'll ever be produced. And this makes it much harder. And I'm not going to say it's impossible to control the price through futures contracts, but it's much, much harder to control the price through futures contracts. Plus, also, they've got this whole thing with the futures contracts all set in place with gold and silver, and they've got tight control over the market. Bitcoin is more like the Old West, you know. So let's get right into the markets today and take what I mean by like the Old West. I mean, the Old West, they didn't have so many laws and controls, you know. Like the Wild West, you know. And they came along later into the Wild West, and they controlled it and subdued it. And it wasn't the Wild West anymore. But this is the Wild West of money right here, still. Cryptocurrencies. So here's the thing. Here's the gold price today, and we see the slam dunk that they did to gold. You know, tremendous slam dunk right there. And I mean, that's just sick the way they're able to control the price. Here's silver today, $14.87. So they're tightly controlling this market. I don't think you'll see them take it below $14, because then they're digging into the mining production costs. Even right now, the miners aren't having much. They're not having much profit ratio there, not much profit margin. So But they will keep it down on that area, and they can keep it down on that area, and I think that they're going to, as long as they're trying to support the dollar. It's all about the dollar. The price suppression of gold and silver is all about the dollar, and they will continue to do it as long as they can. But you watch, when this price suppression finally ends, these same bankers that have been suppressing it to the downside, they'll work just as hard to push it to the upside, because they're going to make money in both directions. Pushing it down, they make money, and they're going to make money pushing it up, you know? And so they're a bunch of crooks, really. Quite seriously. They're the only crooks that are not in jail and never will go to jail. They're too big to jail. Too big to fail, too big to jail. Anyway, let's take a look now at Bitcoin. Bitcoin today is 50.36. It's holding steady above $5,000. Showing a lot of strength, you know. It's coming out of the doldrums where it was when it was down, you know, really down, like in the low 3,000s, you know, and it stumbled along there for a while, and now it's popped up to $5,000 and it's holding up there. It's showing a lot of strength. Let's take a look at cryptocurrency market capitalizations for the day. We're looking at $172 billion, $172.2 billion. Bitcoin dominance right on 52%. And the coins, a lot of them are down just marginally, just down ever so slightly. And all of our favorite coins here, you know, are down a little bit. Litecoin's at 78.83. Okay, now let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's just opening up right now. I'm going to refresh the page and see what it is today. We're up 137 points on the day. 26,522. And it continues to be bullish with the market. But you know, the Fed is showing a direction towards support of these markets. And they weren't before. They were really into the process of quantitative tightening. But now they're relinquishing that grip, and they're actually starting to have talk about quantitative easing 4. They haven't done it yet, but there's talk out there, rumors of quantitative easing 4, and also lowering interest rates. Meanwhile, the Fed is actually talking up about one more interest rate hike, but will they do it? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not sure at this point whether they got enough guts to go for another interest rate hike. Let's take a look at crude oil today. 63.59, and it's up 0.19. Just up very marginally, 63.59 on crude oil. So the rally continues in crude oil. Let's take a look at U.S. Treasuries. Across the board, yields are up. U.S. 30 years, 2.98. U.S. 10 years, 2.57. U.S. 7 years, 2.48. U.S. 5 years, 2.38. U.S. 3 years, 2.37. U.S. 2 years, 2.40. U.S. 1 year is 2.43. U.S. 6 month is 2.46. U.S. 3 month is 2.44. And the U.S. 1 month is 2.42. We're seeing the long end of the yield curve moving up more than the short end of the yield curve, except for the 10-year. The 10-year isn't moving up quite as much. I mean, the 30-year. The 30-year is not moving up quite as much as the U.S. 10-year. And we're seeing the biggest gain in the U.S. 7-year. It's up 2.5 basis points up today on the U.S. 7-year. So now let's move over and let's take a look at the dollar. The dollar's right on 97 today, you know. And, of course, it was that big gold dump of futures contracts that sent the price of gold and silver spiraling downwards today, which is totally unfair. I mean, how can you control the price of real gold with paper? But they're doing it. I don't think they can extend this kind of control over cryptocurrencies, at least not yet. So that means cryptocurrency could very well take off and leave gold and silver behind, because they're controlling the price of gold and silver down, and they're not stopping. It's really sick. because gold and silver should have more respect. You know what I mean? And these guys are getting away with something that should not be allowed. It shouldn't be allowed that they can get away with this. But on the other hand, we have to understand that if they didn't get away with it, that the dollar would lose value so fast, and we would go into a crisis situation if it wasn't for this price suppression of gold and silver. Listen, thank you guys for listening to the report, and you guys have a real nice day. Bye-bye, guys.